This guy is Case Walker, the 104 kilograms heavyweight champion who set a record of 42 consecutive undefeated matches and is the strongest puncher in the world of MMA. Fresh out of prison, Case quickly returned to the arena, but his power and aggression gave his manager a headache. He complained that Case fought too aggressively, scaring potential opponents away, which would lead to a loss of fans. He advised Case to give his opponents 2 rounds to prolong the fights. However, Case stormed into the ring, overpowered his opponent, and choked him out in no time. Seeing his stubbornness, the manager bluntly announced his retirement. At this rate, he would only be able to eat dirt. After the fight ended, Cage coincidentally ran into his old friend Bradley, who is now a coach in the MMA world. Seeing his friend out of prison, Bradley was overjoyed and invited Case for a drink to catch up. He mentioned that he now had a happy life with his young and beautiful wife and 2 smart kids. However, to provide for his family, Bradley would have to go to Thailand in 6 weeks to participate in a PFC combat match with a prize pool of $2 million. The catch was that he would have to face a giant named Braga, who was over 2 meters tall, almost 2 tons in weight, and had a reputation for being ruthless. Braga was 40 pounds heavier than Bradley, had killed opponents 3 times, and had a history of domestic violence. He was known as a vicious, muscle-bound demon who reveled in terrorizing opponents in the ring. Because of this, Bradley wanted Case to come back and train him instead of fighting with the amateurs in their current location. Case thought Bradley was out of his mind, as the $2 million prize wouldn't be enough to replace a new dog's brain if he lost to that madman. However, Bradley was determined, and Case couldn't persuade him any further. After leaving Restaurant 3, Bradley was drunk but still had tongue porridge with a girl. 2 tattooed guys rushed in. A tall guy rushed in and punched Bradley once before claiming to be the other girl's husband. The accomplice immediately turned on the camera to provoke Bradley into fighting. Case immediately discovered that they deliberately set a trap for Bradley. When he went to stop, the opponent immediately moved his hands and feet. He gave each guy a kick and said, "Do you know who your father is?" The whole group ran away in fear. When finished, Case grabbed Bradley and took Bradley home. The morning after, Bradley woke up with a hangover. He tried once again to persuade Case to come to Thailand to train him, fearing that he might not have any teeth left to eat porridge with his wife and kids if he didn't. Seeing Bradley's lack of restraint, especially when it came to alcohol, Case agreed to his friend's request. Both of them quickly made their way to Thailand. Bradley planned to arrive ahead of time to attend a press conference announcing his fight with the madman, Braga. It was indeed accurate to call him crazy, as when a reporter asked about the lawsuit against him for assaulting his wife, he completely lost his temper and abruptly ended the press conference. Case, having arrived at the training facility, was met with an unwelcoming attitude from the people there. He informed them that he was Bradley's coach, and reluctantly, the manager agreed to let him in. Case's training methods were far from conventional. He began by picking up scrap materials, squatting with a few bottles, and then casually grabbing a green-colored rope nearby. Finally, he filled a bag with a lot of cobblestones. Once done, Case returned to the training room. He took a piece of chalk and drew a figure on the wall, followed by drawing a cross right in the middle of the head. No one understood what he was doing. A second later, a sturdy wooden post was quickly assembled to train striking power. He then used the rope to wrap around a glass bottle and hung it in midair to practice agility. His unconventional martial arts techniques were incredibly strange, leaving those who witnessed them convinced that he knew nothing about traditional boxing. The white fighter witnessed this scene and brought 2 of his buddies to taunt Case. Pointing at the 3 wooden posts, he dared to claim that he was a disciple of Bruce Lee and that Case shouldn't pretend to be associated with him. The guy circled behind Case, shouting that he wanted to fight him and continuously mocking Case's movements, likening them to swatting mosquitoes. At this point, he still didn't realize what kind of formidable fighter he was dealing with, and it might have been a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Case was annoyed by the guy's constant provocations, so he followed him into the octagon. The guy launched a high kick, but it was too slow compared to Case. None of the guy's fancy moves could touch Case. Case continued to attack aggressively, and the guy was spun around and received a blow to the back of his neck. This punch only used 3 parts of Case's strength, but the expression on the guy's face suggested excruciating pain. Case used his incredible knee technique, a skin-shredding finger jab, and an earth-shattering 2-ton force to slam the guy to the ground, leaving him digging for teeth in the dirt. Everyone at the arena was left in awe of Case's extraordinary strength. Each move was unique but unbelievably powerful. Case stood tall like an invincible god without a scratch. After defeating the arrogant white guy in the training room, no one in the gym dared to challenge Case anymore. The next day, Bradley's official training session began, and at that moment, a man walked in. He was Hugo Vega, the organizer of the tournament and also the boss of both Bradley and the crazed giant, Braga. Hugo came in with an air of authority, asking who had dared to fight his protege and claimed that the guy had broken 3 ribs and needed oxygen to breathe. As Hugo was talking, he spotted Case and recognized him as Case Walker. Hugo boldly boldly declared that if Case had beaten his fighter, he should join him to fight in place of his fighter. Case, who was also in need of a fight to regain his reputation after getting out of prison, straightforwardly refused, showing his disdain for people like Hugo. Bradley hurriedly advised Case to consider the opportunity. Hugo was offering him a good chance. Case's rejection didn't faze Hugo, and he left without saying much. Young Tej then stepped forward and asked Hugo to let him join his team. However, Hugo dismissed Tej with a half-hearted look, doubting his fighting abilities. Tej argued that he could fight and offered to prove it with a match. Afterward, the two of them stepped onto the mat under Hugo's watchful eye. Tej chose to adopt a defensive stance and gave Tej a chance to showcase his skills. However, Tej's punches lacked impact, quickly dampening Hugo's enthusiasm. He grew frustrated with both Case and his underling, Tej, as there was nothing remarkable to see. Hugo, disappointed, led his entourage out of the room. Micah, too key, quickly advised him not to judge Case solely based on that performance. He suggested that Hugo should consider how someone who could take on our top fighter might perform after an oxygen treatment. But Hugo, still underestimating Case, remained indifferent. After Hugo had left, Case continued his training. Tej and Chris approached him for some guidance, and Case agreed to help them but asked them to wait until he finished his own training. Case was deeply engrossed in his training, and the gym had closed by the time he stopped. Chris and Tej, unable to wait any longer, had already left. Case thought they had gone home, so he took a breath of relief and began heading out. However, to his surprise, the two of them suddenly appeared in front of him. It turned out they had only pretended to go home to trick Case into finishing his workout. Case couldn't anticipate this move, so he had to honor his promise. He started with theory, explaining what a 1,000-pound punch was, delivering a somewhat tedious lecture, and then had them practice on wooden boards for 2 hours. When they showed no signs of exhaustion, he switched them to climbing stairs and crawling down again. Most people would have given up in the face of such rigorous training, but Chris and Tej persevered with unwavering determination. Their relentless spirit and willingness to learn meant they would have to endure these workouts every day. While Chris and Tej were training, another fighter approached them, challenging them to a match. This fighter seemed experienced and had a fierce aura, eager to test his skills against Chris. Despite Chris being relatively inexperienced, he bravely accepted the challenge. However, he was quickly overpowered by his opponent's advanced techniques, taking a beating in the process. Yet, Chris's spirit remained unbroken, and he lifted his bruised face and remarked that this was the only way to make progress. Feeling indignant about the unfairness of the situation, Chatur, a female fighter training at the gym, stepped in to teach the other guy a lesson. She couldn't tolerate someone bullying a weaker opponent or challenging inexperienced fighters just to boost their own reputation. Chatur, though petite, was quick and agile. With just a few moves, she made her opponent stumble and falter. Now, he had to taste the humiliation of being turned into a clown in the ring by a girl. The next day, reporters arrived to interview Bradley about his preparations for the life or death fight. However, all the reporters were captivated by Case, who was behind Bradley, effortlessly doing pull-ups as if they were feathers. He even had a 50-pound dumbbell strapped to him, adding to the challenge. With his glistening and muscular physique, Case's display of throwing 8 punches in 1 second left everyone in awe of his incredible strength. The reporters couldn't help but focus their attention on him. Afterward, Mikkel, the secretary, approached Case and said, "The media is interested in you, not Bradley. I'm also very impressed and would love to go on a date with you." The hero couldn't resist the charm of the beautiful woman, and Case happily started dating Micah. Hugo and Bradley were discussing the upcoming fight. To make it more exciting and attract viewers, Hugo suggested that Bradley use performance-enhancing drugs to increase his aggression and make his attacks more ruthless in the match. Bradley agreed to this and instructed his manager not to let Case know about it, as he anticipated that Case would strongly object and cause a lot of trouble if he found out. Bradley had consumed a large amount of performance-enhancing drugs and was filled with a surge of excitement, eager to challenge Case. While Case was simply in the midst of training, Bradley, due to the effects of the drugs, was extremely agitated and launched relentless attacks. After a round of being relentlessly pushed and unable to defend himself, Case had to muster all his strength to counterattack. The more he punched, the more aggressive he became, gradually losing control. Bradley took a beating, and it was only when he realized something was amiss that Case became aware of his overly forceful punches. Bradley, angry and frustrated, stormed off, leaving Hugo shocked by the news. Hugo became determined to pressure Case into fighting for him. At this point, Case received a contract that Hugo had unilaterally drafted in an attempt to pressure him into joining Hugo's team for the PFC tournament. Case straightforwardly rejected all the terms of the contract. After regaining possession of the contract, Hugo flew into a rage. He believed that Case had no right to refuse him, and he was determined to force him into participating. Subsequently, Hugo sent his henchmen to take action and coerce Case into submission. The next day, Case discovered that he had become a sensation on the internet. A video clip of him single-handedly defeating a group of police officers had gone viral at an astonishing speed. In the video, Case delivered his blows with remarkable ease, effortlessly taking down 7 to 8 police officers while remaining calm and composed down to each breath. Internet users bestowed upon him the nickname, Street Hero. It turned out that this was Hugo's scheme. He was willing to spend money to advertise on all social media platforms to make Case famous. With such publicity, Hugo hoped that his tournament would gain a significant amount of attention. The viewership for Case's fights was bound to break records, resulting in substantial revenue from ticket sales and betting. However, the biggest challenge remained: how to get Case to participate in the tournament. Bradley had also come to realize his mistakes and took the initiative to apologize to Case. Case harbored no grudge and even wholeheartedly guided Bradley in preparing for the upcoming fight in the ring. Every day, Bradley trained relentlessly, making significant progress in both his skills and muscular strength with Case's guidance. Besides, the relationship between Case and her secretary Micah has also improved a lot. The two often meet to enjoy romantic dinners by the riverbank. He seems to live in love, so sometimes he even monologues to himself like a crazy person. With just a few days left until Bradley had to face the giant Braga, Hugo felt that Bradley was too weak for this fight and was determined to make Case participate. He found a new trainer for Bradley named Boris. While training, Boris accidentally broke Bradley's leg. Bradley's fight was essentially ruined, and the tickets were about to go on sale. In this situation, Case had no choice but to step in and fight in Bradley's place, for which he would receive the $2 million. The Street Hero, against the insane man who had killed opponents 3 times in the ring and had a history of domestic violence, was already a highly anticipated matchup, promising a huge payout. However, before the fight took place, Case discovered that it was all part of Hugo's conspiracy. Hugo had hired this trainer to break Bradley's leg, making it impossible for him to participate. Case considered forfeiting, but giving up had never been his style. He decided to face the crazy Braga in a battle to the death to prevent the fight from happening. He planned to exploit Braga's weakness, his uncontrollable rage whenever his wife was mentioned. Case stormed into the backstage area, boldly taunting Braga. He questioned why he would need to punch him twice just to defeat him. Braga, incensed by the remarks, immediately exploded in anger. Braga, who stood at a towering 2.13 meters tall and weighed 158 kilograms, seemed like an immovable mountain of flesh and bone, impervious to pain. Kicking him was like kicking a solid tree trunk. Braga tossed Case around like a ragdoll. Realizing that he couldn't engage Braga directly, Case resorted to tactics, seizing an opportunity to attack Braga's leg joints. Braga lifted Case up and slammed him forcefully to the ground, then pounded him mercilessly. To escape Braga's control, Case utilized leg locks and gradually regained control of the situation. Despite Braga's relentless assaults, Case didn't hold back. He decisively removed his gloves and directly faced the relentless attacks of his opponent. In the face of Braga's fierce onslaught, Case unleashed deadly punches, targeting Braga's ribs, leaving him gasping for breath and visibly shaken. Case pressed his advantage, not allowing Braga a chance to recover. After a series of punishing blows, Case lifted Braga off the ground and forcefully slammed him to the earth. Braga lay unconscious under the quince tree, and the match ended before it even began. The bets were refunded, and now Hugo had to pay the $2 million that Bradley rightfully deserved. Case warned him that not a single dollar could be missing, considering it as compensation for the mental and medical expenses. Otherwise, he would report Hugo for deliberately causing injuries. Facing financial ruin, Hugo was left with no choice but to comply. Case emerged as the champion, living happily with the beautiful Micah by his side, and his friendship with Bradley grew stronger. The movie concludes here, featuring the martial arts superstar Michael Jai White as an unstoppable force in the arena, even defeating the legendary Yuri Boyka. With skills in karate, jutsu kudo, hapkido, taekwondo, and the mastery of Tai Chi Chuan, he is destined to follow in the footsteps of the martial arts legend Bruce Lee. Despite surpassing 100 kilograms in weight and having a massive and powerful physique, Michael Jai White still delivers incredibly agile and precise strikes. The link to the full movie is provided in the description for you to watch and choose your favorite parts. If you find the video enjoyable, please don't forget to like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel to support us. Thank you, everyone.